very special guest in the house today, Mr. Zach Wrixon. I don't think this man needs to have an introduction because everybody knows who he is. He's a rock star in everyone's office, okay? He's going to show us some stuff, talk about the portfolios, and help you do your business better. So I will turn it over to him.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Life on the road is not always glamorous. This is my third city of the day, and my laptop is not working properly. I have no idea why. I can't get on the AGF network. So, good news, bad news. The good news is there's super important stuff that I need to show you tonight. I was able to email to Troy, and he's got that up on the screen. The bad news is you don't have my boring slides. So, I'm going to have my slides up here for reference. But the real meat of what I want you to see tonight is going to be on the screen, and we're going to be ready to rock and roll. And then I also have a handout for everybody that I will give you a little later on. My apologies to Zoomland for disappearing off camera. But first and foremost, my thanks to all of you who are here in person. You don't get any recognition in Zoomland. I can't send you digital pizza or anything like that, but I appreciate you being on Zoom, and I will do my best to try and stay in this spot here. Okay, so we have a hard stop at 9:15. Is that correct? That's when we end. Okay.
I can be bribed, though.
What am I going to bribe you with? You have 2 Rolexes and an Escalade. What am I going to possibly bribe you with? Right?
Third Rolex.
And then third Rolex and then how about a bag of Skittles, Troy? I think that's all I can afford. You and I are in a different snack bracket, my friend. Okay. There's lots of stuff going on from a market perspective right now, and there is a lot of volatility right now. And so I want to walk you through what's going on from a volatility perspective and why things seem to be all over the map right now. Could I ask a volunteer, by the way, somebody with a computer, to kindly copy down a participants list for me on Zoom? Yep. For who's on here, or even maybe take pictures of the participants list. If I could have that at the end of the night, please. Compliance wants me to know who I'm talking to. So, okay. So, markets are volatile for a number of reasons right now. First and foremost, you have not had the S&P 500 decline by more than 3% since April. That's insane, right? How are you?
That's the Magnificent Seven working for us.
Exactly, among other things, all right? But you have not had markets decline 3% or more since April, which means you are overdue for a bit of a pullback. This is the best 6-month period on the markets in 100 years.
No way.
Yes, okay, the best 6-month period. Not the best year, not the best quarter, but the best 6-month period in 100 years. You are overdue for a pullback, which means people are looking for reasons to take profits right now. And a good example of that is Netflix. So Netflix forecasted that their revenue for the year was going to be between $44.8 and $45.2 billion. Came in at 45.1, so it came in within the range, but they are fighting with a tax court in Brazil and did not make as much money as people had hoped. And the stock is down 10% today. In a day. If you're going to get the best 6-month period in 100 years, you could get a whole year's worth of lousy returns in one day. A 10% decline for a year is a lousy return, right? You got that in a day. And it just goes to show you that these big tech stocks right now are priced to perfection. There is no room for disappointment or anything like that because people are looking to take profits. Please, let's make sure that our clients understand that people taking profits is normal. It's healthy. It's to be expected. And frankly, it's something that you want. It's something our managers do. And so if we as clients expect our managers to behave this way, Why do we freak out when other people behave this way? Right? The price of a stock only changes when a transaction happens. So the only way it was possible today for somebody to sell Netflix 10% cheaper than yesterday was because somebody else bought it. That's why they call it a stock exchange. It's not a stock refund mechanism. It's not a stock depository. It is a stock exchange. And so somebody today got Netflix 10% cheaper. Did Netflix become stupid overnight? Did their management lose their minds? No, they didn't make as much money as some very picky people thought they would because they're fighting with the tax court in Brazil. That's a reason to sell off the stock 10%. And see, what happens is you get the herd effect. So technology stocks were down 1.4% as a whole today because people went, well, if it could happen to Netflix, it could happen to someone else, right? This is what happens when things go up so much for so long. But if we look at what's coming up on the horizon, you're likely going to get an interest rate cut in the United States next week. There's probably a 50-50 shot that you'll get one here in Canada. You'll probably get another interest rate cut later on this year in the United States. And there's been some concern so far this year about the impact of tariffs and what tariffs are going to mean for the average U.S. consumer. Well, not only have we not seen necessarily any real measurable impact of those tariffs to the consumer, but anybody in the U.S. federal government who would be measuring that stuff right now is sitting at home on the PlayStation. There is no economic data. What's inflation right now? I don't know. What's GDP right now? I don't know. And see, there's two sides to that coin, because there's some people that say, well, maybe if we don't have the data, then the Fed's not going to be able to analyze things and maybe they won't cut rates. But that's not what the market expects. The market expects that the Fed realizes that hundreds of thousands of people are out of work right now, and eventually that's going to have an impact on spending. And that could be a sign of economic weakness perhaps to come, and therefore that reinforces the mentality that the Fed's going to cut rates. So we do expect a rate cut. And ultimately, sometimes things go down a bit because people want to take profits when things went up considerably. We're not forecasting a correction. We don't see a 10% correction on the horizon. We don't see anything that's going to indicate that that's going to happen. But it's going to be a bumpy ride. Sometimes it seems like the people in charge want it to be a bumpy ride. There's a lot of political conflict. There's a lot of societal conflict. There's a lot of people wondering what corporate earnings are going to be like. So far, from a corporate earnings perspective, Netflix has been the only one so far that's disappointed. But I think something like 180 out of the 500 companies on the S&P 500 report earnings over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a busy season with a lot of volatility. We have to look at volatility as being the friend that creates opportunity for us, rather than the thing that we run from. Why are we running from an opportunity to buy quality companies at a discount? If I believed in it at this price, I believe in it at this price, and if I think it's going to go to that, then I have just extended my potential profit window. Volatility is a fact of life. It's part of investing. The issue is not whether people get worried. See, the conversation that I've had over the past couple of weeks, and in fact the past month or so, is dramatically different from the kind of conversation I normally have. Usually when I get called into action, somebody puts up the bat signal, it's because somebody's freaking out wondering when it's going to get better. Over the past month or so, the conversations have been, how long is this going to go on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When's the next dip? I don't know when the next dip is. I love you all dearly. Most of you I know, and most of you are really good friends of mine. If I knew when the next dip was, do you think I'd be here at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night? No, I wouldn't. I'd be on my yacht in the Bahamas right now, talking to you on Zoom. Right? I'd be a billionaire. But now is the time to think from a contrarian perspective. Now is the time to increase client PACs. You're going to get a dip. And it doesn't matter what that dip is, there's no way that dip is going to make your December 31st statements look bad. You're going to look like heroes. And you deserve to be introduced to people's friends and family. Are you asking them for that? If you had a chance to come out to the roadshow, you heard from very capable, experienced people who are watching this stuff every day so that you don't have to. They know more than you do. If they didn't, we'd both have problems. If you know more than my portfolio managers, love you dearly, but if you know more than my portfolio managers, we got two problems. They're going to get fired, and you need a different hobby. Right? The portfolio managers are optimistic. They're watching things every day. They're identifying companies to buy, and they're continuing to deliver exemplary results for you. I don't care what Joe Schmo says on the internet. Right? I don't care about Bitcoin. I don't care about what the latest meme stock is. Apparently it's Beyond Meat, by the way. I just don't care. What I care about is having a capable, experienced team of portfolio managers watching the markets every day, identifying opportunities, and making solid, well-researched, well-reasoned, long-term investment decisions for your clients. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If it makes sense, it's going to make dollars. Okay? So that's what's going on from a market perspective. I want to recap, especially for anybody who might be new or anybody in Zoom land. I want to walk you through how I position AGF at the kitchen table. Yes, sir.
Just before you do, so 2 weeks ago, Nathan did a training on Morningstar, and I put the AGF growth portfolio into it, and I was a little surprised to see 17% of it in cash. The fund managers are ready for the dips. Yes.
Okay. Public service announcement. There are certain things you never trust. Okay. You never trust. I was going to make one statement that would. I'm glad I didn't. It would have been awesome.
Can't trust Dave.
No. I'll tell you later what I was going to say when I'm not on camera, because I like my job and I want to keep it. But never trust a hedge fund manager. Right? How do you know they're lying? Their lips are moving. They want the market to go down. They make the market go down because that's how they make money. And never trust cash weightings on Morningstar.
Oh, okay.
They are frequently incorrect. We are not sitting on 17% cash. U.S. sector, if you're using our growth portfolio, U.S. sector is about 16% cash right now. It's been as high as 19, but that's going to leave you with about 4% cash in your portfolio. We do have some cash weightings. The horrendously inaccurate part of Morningstar is cash weightings,
Oh, okay.
especially on fixed income stuff. Because sometimes if Morningstar doesn't know a particular bond, they just count it as cash. There was a situation where we had a bond fund and Morningstar said that it had 45% cash in it. You cannot trust cash weightings on Morningstar. I really appreciate you bringing that up. Okay? But yes, our managers are ready. Absolutely. And not only are our managers ready, but there's a phenomenon going on right now. I invented a term last week. I was so proud of myself. And so you're welcome to use this, but you got to give me credit, okay? Okay? There's a whole lot of people that are going to be jumping into the market over the next couple of months, and I call them FOMO sapiens. Okay? The fear of missing out. That is mine. I genuinely invented it. I am so proud. There's going to be a lot of people who got out. Remember Liberation Day? That was my birthday. I did not feel liberated. There's a whole lot of people who got out because they were scared. If you get out because you are scared, right, you are uncomfortable. It stands to reason you will not get back in until the discomfort has gone away and been replaced by comfort, correct? If declines made you uncomfortable, what's going to make you comfortable? Growth. And now you sit there and you go, oh wow, I missed out on the best 6 months in 100 years on the S&P 500. Oops, maybe I need to get back in. Is it the right time to be plowing a bunch of money into the market? No, but this is frankly the industry where the customer is always wrong. And so FOMO is going to take over. But see, there's always people sitting on the cash, sitting on the sidelines with fistfuls of cash, right? There's something that goes on in the market that by virtue of you working with this wonderful company, you have no frame of reference for. And I don't say that with any hint of condescension. Companies buy back their shares. Something known as an NCIB. You don't need to write it down, but it's a normal course issuer bid. They file it every year. AGF does too. Saying, hey, at any time during the year, we will go into the market, we will buy back our shares. Primerica does that too. Primerica buys back millions of dollars of shares every year. Why do they buy back those shares?
So they can give them to the field.
So they can give them to you. That's why they do it. And so that is really the context, the frame of reference, the universe of share buybacks that the average Primerican has exposure to. But you're the only company that does that. When companies buy back their shares, they buy them back to cancel them. Because if your earnings are here, right? If you have $100 million of earnings and 100 million shares outstanding, what's your earnings per share? $1. If you cancel 20% of your shares, you just made your earnings per share $1.25 next time, even if your earnings didn't grow. It's perfectly legitimate suspect accounting. Okay? That's what companies do. They buy back their shares to cancel them. It naturally raises their earnings per share, even if they don't raise their earnings. So more so than any time in my entire career, there is more money sitting on the sidelines in the hands of companies waiting to pounce in when their share prices go down so that they can buy more stock. And you know what I say? Bring it on. Because we're ready. Right? We're ready. Good times are here, good times have happened, good times are coming. It's going to be bumpy. Let's just prepare people for the fact that it's going to be bumpy. All right. So let me recap AGF, what we do, what we're all about, how I position us at the kitchen table. AGF focuses on 3 things. I would encourage you to share these 3 things in this order. They are carefully thought out, they are carefully constructed, and when carefully articulated, repeatedly each time, you will become the subject matter expert on this. Number 1, we focus on predictable outcomes. We focus on predictable outcomes. Everybody likes unpredictable outcomes. Imagine I told you May 31st, hey, your 18-20 Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the American League and make it to the World Series. And John Schneider is likely American League Manager of the Year. The gentleman who I said in April was qualified only to be a mall Santa Claus. I need to take that back, right? But predictable outcomes are what keep people invested. To quote my longtime friend, Mr. Robert Weinhardt, the rate of return you need is the rate of return you need. You do not need to earn the highest rate of return. Wealth is not created. It's not created by getting the highest rate of return each and every year. It's created by staying invested. We create a pattern of returns through downside protection that keeps people invested when things get bumpy. Anybody can make you money when times are good. It's who's going to protect your capital when things are down. That's what you hire us for. There's someone in this room who entrusted me to bring me along on a client appointment, and we put a Morningstar report in front of that person, and I showed them that, for example, a 100% equity portfolio in 2018, markets are down 8.5 to 11.5%, and we're down 0.8 after fees. And I looked the guy straight in the eye and said, this is what people hire us for. That focus on predictable outcomes. The second thing we do, we separate news from noise. There's an onslaught of information that comes out on a daily, weekly, hourly, minute-by-minute basis. You've got to figure out what's relevant and what's not. You can only accomplish that in one of two ways. You must have a large enough team. I have 60 investment professionals. This is all they do. The second thing is, you cannot separate news from noise when you have 500 different stocks that you own in your portfolio. We run concentrated portfolios of 35 to 50 names in our big growth funds. And we know each one of those companies inside and out. We are reviewing each one of those companies each and every day to make sure that that's still what we want to be invested in. So we focus on predictable outcomes. We separate news from noise. We put our money where our mouth is. That's the third thing. We align everybody's interests with our co-investment policy. If you're a manager for AGF, you're required to have either 2 times your annual salary or 50% of your investment assets in AGF funds. When your account goes up, their account goes up. If your account goes down, their account goes down.
50% of assets they had, or what was the salary?
Or 2 times their salary.
2 times.
Okay? And I don't say this to be flippant or be a smart aleck. Portfolio managers are not moderately compensated individuals. These people make a lot of money, they have a lot of money, they create generational wealth for their families by creating generational wealth for you. I have seen people leave existing relationships at the kitchen table to come to AGF through Primerica because of that co-investment policy. It is your mic drop moment. Pro tip, when you are communicating 3 points, your most important point is your third point. It's always the one you end with. That's the one they're going to remember the most. So please ensure that you're talking about the co-investment policy. None of that means a hill of beans if you have a GIC and a whole life insurance policy. Do not be a smoking doctor. You've got to make sure that you own the products and services that you are recommending to your clients, okay? All right, let's get into the meat of what we're talking about tonight. I am super excited for 2 reasons. Well, 3 actually. Number 1, I've got something really cool to share with you. Number 2, I really appreciate the input that Troy gave me directly about what he wanted to see from me tonight. He did ask that it be all in French, so from here on out, it's going to be entirely French. David can translate it into Spanish for you. Paul can do
What
it
I
in Polish
understand,
for you,
yeah.
right? But this is an opportunity to acknowledge that I have not done a good enough job. I have not done a good enough job in showing you that AGF kicks absolute butt on income solutions. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. There's a myth out there that it's AGF for growth, Mackenzie for income. Let me show you why that might not be true. Okay? So, we have a new fund that we have launched. Its name is a mouthful. I think we actually have a committee of people that sits down and their entire job is to figure out the longest possible names for the funds that we offer. Okay? But we have just launched the AGF US Equity Enhanced Income Fund. If it was a hockey player, its name would start on this sleeve and go all the way up and across the back. Okay? The AGF US Equity Enhanced Income Fund. This is a new PD offering. It was launched yesterday. It is not a new offering for AGF. So this was launched as an ETF by us in 2022 and as a fund by us in Legacy in 2023. The reason you've never heard of it, right, is because it was around the time of PD. Okay? That's why you haven't heard of this yet. But we sat there and went, wow, this is going exceptionally well, and this thing should be a PD fund. So let's talk about what it's designed to do. I have to read the...
Do you have it on the screen?
I do not have it on the screen, no. This is the slide that I can't show you, right? Designed to provide long-term capital appreciation and consistent income through dividends and option writing strategies. What does that mean in English? It means it is an equity fund. It invests in the United States. It is a 100% equity fund. We are looking for funds that pay, or companies rather, that pay dividends, but we don't have to have all dividend paying companies because we are using things called options. Here is the biggest myth that I need to dispel. The biggest myth is that AGF does not do option writing like Mackenzie does on their portfolios. I have to own that myth, and I get to be myth buster at the same time. Even before this new fund was launched, AGF is the largest option writer outside of the major banks in Canada.
Could you give a quick recap on what options are?
Absolutely, it's coming up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay? So we are generating income within this fund through dividends, obviously through capital gains by buying and selling stocks, but also by writing options on the stocks that we own, and we will cover what that's all about. The point of options is to generate predictable income. One of the reasons that people like dividend-paying stocks is that you get paid to be patient. You're getting that dividend each quarter from that stock. But not all companies pay dividends. And some companies, honestly, you don't want them to pay a dividend. Companies that pay dividends are often more mature, they are lower growth. Whereas a company that's growing rapidly, if it's reinvesting in its operations, frankly, you'd rather they did that than pay those retained earnings out to you.
Yeah.
Right? I would rather, for example, that NVIDIA figures out how to make chips even smaller and even cheaper than taking money from its earnings and paying me. I'm getting paid with that stock going up. And so what if there's an opportunity to make income off of stocks you own that actually fit that growth profile instead of just the dividend profile? Dividend paying companies are wonderful and they have a great place in the portfolio and they have a place in this fund as well. But if you're writing options on the stocks that you own, that helps you generate income, especially during periods of volatility. And so because of this, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to hazard to say that over the course of the next few years, I'm going to show you that this is one of the greatest downside protection options that AGF offers. And if we can provide that downside protection, we will keep people from freaking out. We will keep people from running to the exits when things get volatile. Okay? All right. I have to be very careful about how I position this next feature, because I do not want you selling the fund based on this feature. And you're all going to go nuts, and you're going to love it. I know I'm setting you up here for an expected reaction, but this fund pays a monthly distribution. The annual rate of that distribution is 8%. There is nothing out there that pays this kind of distribution. There is a possibility at some point that part of that distribution is going to be return of capital. Return of capital, we could spend an hour on. Yes, it is more tax efficient. All you are doing is playing kick the can down the road and creating further tax liabilities for you in the future. This fund has never paid a penny of return of capital.
In 3 years?
In 3 years. Not a penny of return of capital. So how?
Bitcoin.
The right dividend, sorry? Bitcoin, yeah. The right dividend paying companies and the right people at the helm who are option experts on this. So some of the people you'll know on this fund, some you won't. Stephen Denick is the lead manager. He's the manager of the North American Dividend Fund on Legacy, the monthly Canadian dividend income. His right-hand man, Dylan Culhane, is also on this fund. And then the first time that you will meet a portfolio manager by the name of Jeff Kay. Jeff Kay is one of our in-house options guys. He's very, very talented at doing this, and we're really excited about this, okay? So, disclaimer on distributions. Do not confuse distributions with the rate of return. The unit value will go up and down, but this fund is designed for people who are looking for income. It is not designed for LOLs. See, before all you texters stole that terminology from the investment business, LOL stood for little old lady. This is not the fund you use for the 85 or 90-year-old person. It's not. This is a U.S. equity fund that you use as part of the equity component of someone's portfolio to provide them with that consistent income and growth opportunities in there. This is not something, categorically, that you use in place of the stuff.
Someone has their
I
audio
got
on.
it. I found it.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
This is not a fund that you use in place of the U.S. equity options that you have come to know and like U.S. all cap growth or American growth and legacy or U.S. sector. This is designed as a complement. Primerica does not believe that a long-term income strategy, income growth strategy, is going to be easy for you to manage from a chargeback perspective. And so, hugely important point on this, you cannot take an advance on this fund. There is no advance or front-end advance code. This fund is front-end only. That is Primerica's decision. Any more information about the rationale behind that decision, I refer you respectfully to your head office. We respect their wishes completely, but you can't take an advance on this. Okay?
So still front end.
Front end. Front end only.
But no, no.
Front end only, yeah. Okay. So, how do we explain options in client-friendly terms? There are two types of options that we use. There is a call option and a put option. So here's how we explain call options in client-friendly terms. So the person who issues the call option is called the writer. So that person writes an option on a stock they own. So if we own NVIDIA, we write an option on that stock and we hope that somebody buys that option. The person who buys that option has bought the right to buy shares from us at an agreed upon price. So I own shares of NVIDIA. I write a call option on it saying that I will sell 10,000 shares for X number of dollars per share. That's the option. But it's different than me putting an order in on the market. Because if you want to buy those shares from me at that price, you have to buy my option to do it. So Dennis, he wants to buy my option. And so let's say for those 10,000 shares, Dennis calculates or he, hypothesizes what he thinks the shares are going to be, and he thinks that they're going to go up more than what I'm offering. So NVIDIA, $100 a share, I offer an option at 105. Dennis thinks it's going to go to 110 before the option expires. And he's going, well, if I buy the option, I can buy shares from him for 105. He's locked in. He's got to sell to me at 105. What if it's 112? I just made $7 easy bucks. Make sense? But he's got to pay me for the privilege of getting on the other side of that transaction. He's got to buy my option. So a call option, I'm selling somebody the right to buy some shares from me at an agreed upon price. That option has an expiry date. The money Dennis pays me is called a premium. Dennis can exercise that option at any time before expiry. But whether or not he exercises the option, I keep the premium that Dennis has paid me. And that premium that I got from Dennis, CRA lets me count as a capital gain. It's pretty cool. And so if you're really good at this stuff, you can make a lot of money for your clients by doing this. So when would we use this? We would use this when the market thinks a stock is going to go up in a period of time more than we think it's going to go up in a period of time. So, Nvidia is $100. Dennis thinks it's going to go to 110. We think it's going to go to 105. Because maybe, frankly, we've got better research. So we'll write that option. And more often than not, somebody picks up that option, because without dragging you down a rabbit hole, the people who are buying these options are using it to hedge the stuff that they're already doing too. This whole thing is interconnected. You could take a university level course on options. I did not. And so I honestly think that it's a good thing I didn't. Because I don't know enough to make any of us dangerous. Okay? What I wanted to explain to you is what a call option is, how it works, and when you'd use it. Have I done that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Question and comment.
Yes, sir.
Is there any common things for us? What is that period of time? Oh, the most common is a 1 year, or 5 year, or quarter. Like, is there length of time when the options are being
Oh yeah,
written for?
they're typically quarterly.
Quarterly.
Yeah, so it's
It's pretty short then.
typically a 90-day thing.
Pretty short.
Yes. You will hear, if you're a real market geek, you will hear 4 times a year terminology thrown around about a particular day called quad witching hour. Which is the day in the quarter that all of the options contracts expire. Okay?
Can you repeat that?
It's the day that all of the options, like all the
What
put
is it?
options expire, all the quad witching hour they call it.
What is the name?
Quad witching hour. Yes. So that's the day in the quarter that all the options expire, and you see a lot of volatility because we won't get into it. We won't get into it, but you can write options on stocks you don't own. And that's a whole other kettle of fish. You can write a put option on a stock you won't own. It's called a naked put. We're not even getting into it, okay? Paul.
Thank you, and great job on explaining this.
Thank you.
One more addition, if I may. If somebody has a life insurance but is getting mutual fund license, I would compare it to GIB, the Guaranteed Insurable Benefit. When you have an option to buy more insurance, you pay premium for it. If you don't exercise, you still have to premium, but you have an option to purchase more insurance. Same
Fantastic.
situation, very, very similar.
That's a great way of looking at it. Thank you. Okay. So how do we explain what a put option is in client-friendly terms? Anything I told you, just replace buy with sell. So you own a stock, and you write a put option on that stock. The person who buys that put option buys the option to sell you shares at an agreed upon price. And again, they pay a premium to take the other side of that transaction. I have really tried to avoid using betting or gambling analogies because I never want to give the impression that that's what we do with people's money. But it's essentially, do you want to bet? Do you want to bet on the future of this stock price and see who wins? Well, you've got to pay for the privilege of taking the other side of that transaction. And so put options can be very effective when you believe in the value of a stock long term and you want to add to it. the put option gets exercised, it's because the stock went down and you get the opportunity to buy the stock cheaper than you could otherwise. And so we would write a put option on a stock we already own when we want to buy more of it and we're looking for a discount. But more often than not, options expire without being exercised. Because just like we write these things to generate income, sometimes somebody else is buying it to shore up a position and hedge something against each other, and they have no intention of ever exercising the option. So it's a very, very lucrative way to generate consistent income within a portfolio.
So just applying this to the exact portfolio you're talking about, it sounds like the call is creating the growth for you and the put is creating the downside protection.
They both create downside protection, right? They both create downside protection because you have the opportunity to earn premium through doing this in a very sophisticated way, independent of what the stock price movements are. See, the reason people are patient with dividend-paying funds, or dividend-paying stocks rather, is because they're getting paid to be patient. This is not an advertisement for security. I have been an AGF shareholder for more than 18 years. Sometimes it's been very attractive. Sometimes it's been a 3-week-old unrefrigerated filet of fish sandwich. But every quarter I have gotten free money. I've gotten paid to be patient as stock prices move up and down. My stock is nearly $14. At the start of COVID, it was $2.99. I got paid to be patient. This is a way to get paid to be patient on non-dividend paying stocks. I don't think I could summarize it any more succinctly than that. Options are a way to get paid to be patient on stocks that don't pay dividends. That's the brilliance of it. Because remember, please, and I don't say that with any attitude, traditional dividend-paying stocks are not the ones that deliver above average growth rates in a year. They're not. They're designed to be more steady. They are more mature businesses. They're not the ones that are going to go up 20, 30, 40, 50% in a year. But the stuff that does, right? The stock that can go up 50 can go down 40 the next year. We look at the Magnificent Seven. In 2022, you would have called them the malodorous Seven. They stunk. Meta was down 43% that year. Tesla was down 75%. We know from experience and from logic that the things that can go up a lot can go down a lot too. What if there was a way to even out people's returns and keep them invested with downside protection through all of those ups and downs? Options are the way to do it.
I thought that the modern portfolio, for instance, had call and put option strategy as part of the targeted distribution.
One of our funds has that.
Like one of the underlying funds.
One of the underlying funds.
Okay.
So we run option stuff on a lot of funds. In fact, it may be more than one of the funds. But that portfolio is a makeup of funds itself, right?
Yeah.
And so at the portfolio level, the only thing that you could write calls and puts on would be the funds themselves, and you're not allowed to do that, right?
Okay.
But we have extensive experience on the option side of things, and as I mentioned, we are the largest non-bank writer of options, even before this fund was launched. Mike?
When we say the 8% distribution, so these three.
See, we keep coming back to the 8%. I knew people were going to ask me about it.
I want to understand it better. So the income of dividends, capital gains, and these premiums on the options, like they're probably not 33% each making up that 8, right? Like they're the drivers for that distribution return, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And then throughout the year, I'm assuming just, like, is the premium on these options, is that Lamborghini, cycle that really drives it to that higher number being 8, and like the dividends and capital gains are, like, I guess I'm trying to divide up, who's the bigger puncher of those 3 forms of income in that distribution, or it's just, or it's changing all the time?
It's gonna change all the time.
All the time.
Absolutely.
So sometimes they're great,
Right.
sometimes they're not.
So we have capital gains from buying and selling stocks.
Yeah,
We have capital gains from call options. CRA doesn't give us that treatment on puts. Puts are income, right? The premium you get is income. So that distribution at the end of the year, if there is no return of capital, is gonna be a combination of income, capital gains, and dividends. And we will break it all down for you on an annual basis.
yeah, you just said the premium of the call options is income, not.
The premium of the put option is income,
Yes,
the call option is capital gain.
capital gain, right, okay.
You got it.
Thank you.
Nathan?
What about MERs for this?
So the MERs are the same as anything else that we offer. So again, our management fee is, or sorry, our admin fee rather is the same across the board, which is 0.32 plus tax, so 0.36. Our management fee is 0.73, same as our other funds, 0.73 over 100,000, 0.93 under 100,000. So same fee structure as anything else that we offer. Keep in mind the managed solutions are always lower. Right? AGF management fee on managed solutions are always lower. Okay. Did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, actually, but he asked this.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
But now I'm curious how you would position this related to the existing managing portfolios.
People are gonna swear
Hey, we
that.
were supposed to stay to the portfolios with Primerica, okay, so everyone's off on a tangent. So I was trying to direct this training to go over the portfolios that he makes up for Primerica, so everyone learns what they're made up. Just to make sure we stay on track.
Maybe
Because everyone's asking all these questions that the
Yeah.
training wasn't supposed to be designed for.
well, I'm curious about how it fits in the managed portfolios, like where you would plot it in when you're trying to hit certain targets for your clients.
Absolutely. We'll get there.
So sorry, the distributions are income, capital gains, and what?
Dividends.
Dividends.
Okay. Okay. The portfolios that Nikki and I build for you. They are at various KYC levels. Those remain unchanged. What I wanted to give you by request is stuff that we should look at for income-oriented clients. Okay? You have, and you'll see, by the way, that some of my suggestions for income-oriented clients are existing things that don't involve this new fund at all. We've already got a whole bunch of stuff available that works very, very well for clients at various KYC levels, okay? All right, so the first thing is our global defensive portfolio. This is not a, Troy, could you go to page 2, please? Thank you, sir. This is not designed, this does not take advantage, does not have the new fund in it. This is a one-stop managed solution. This is the fund that you use when somebody says, oh, I can't tolerate any volatility. It's not to say that there won't be any volatility with this, but this is the most conservative option available. And I deliberately chose this one as the lowest because most people that are going to want this are people that have non-registered money who are older and probably don't need more actual income that could impact their government benefits. This deliberately does not pay a distribution. If you have people in the high interest savings account fund that are worried about the natural, cyclical downturn of the net return on that, this is what you use. We are transparent, above the board, ethical people. Nothing I show you tonight is before fees. Everything is after fees. Okay? We have taken out the fees in this so that you can actually show the average person what they would have made. AGF's management fee is not embedded, it is charged from the fund. And so I could come in here and I could show you returns that are, you know, absolutely astounding, but they wouldn't be the truth. And I don't want to do that because I got to look at myself in the mirror, and I don't want to put you in a situation where you're giving false information at the kitchen table and setting unrealistic expectations. I was talking to somebody on the drive over who's trying to get a client out of a GIC that they just went into yesterday. 1 year, 2.7%. This is your GIC killer. Everybody's GIC rates are coming down. Everybody's high interest savings account rates are coming down. But as rates go down, bonds go up. This is not GICs. This is not high interest savings. This is bonds. And so for your lowest of the low from a risk standpoint in the PD model, global defensive is what to use. And in fact, Nikki and I often use it as the person's bond weighting when you're asking us to put a portfolio together for you if it's a really conservative client. Make sense? Perfect. Okay. So if we could go then, please, to the global income portfolio.
Second page, or?
Second page, please. Thank you very much. So global income is a 25% equity, 75% fixed income portfolio. If you call me up and you say, look, I want to compare these statements to something AGF offers. I mean, we do that all the time. We do it dozens of times per week. Thank you for entrusting us with that. We can do stuff with the Morningstar report and get you longer term track records by using the underlying holdings, especially if they've been in their stuff a while where they are currently. I didn't do that here. This is just PD. Just PD after fees. This is an income-oriented solution. It pays a 5% distribution to the client, and it pays it out on a monthly basis. And the net annualized return on this since PD launched is 6.2%. Find me an income KYC client who is disappointed with 6.2% after fees. There are some things, again, without dragging you down a rabbit hole, that would augment this. The more money you have, the lower your management and dealer service fees are. Therefore, the higher this would be. Plus, if you have non-registered assets, the dealer service fee you pay to Primerica is tax deductible. So if you've got somebody with $400,000 or $500,000 who meets this KYC level, you're looking at close to, if not more than 7% a year for the past 3 years. Net returns to somebody after their tax deductibility. On income, that's absolutely stunning. And it's a managed solution. Somebody else is taking care of all of the intricacies, right, behind the scenes, underneath the surface for you, so that you don't have to do that. My personal philosophy is, you know, every 10 minutes you don't have to spend on this type of work is 10 more minutes you can be out talking to a potential new teammate. Troy, could we go to the next one, please?
Second page.
Yes, thank you. All right. I'm a competitive guy. And a couple years back, we had a meeting as a team when Colin was still on my team. And I was lamenting the fact that we didn't have anything at the balanced KYC. Sorry, so we talked about income. Next up is balance. We didn't have anything at balance that paid a monthly distribution. So the way it works is global income has a distribution, global moderate has a distribution, but global conservative in the middle does not. That's a great fund. But if you want the distributions, if you want to see that consistent income coming into the account, which buys you more units, it's not a rate of return, but it buys you more units. If you want to see that, then what option do we have? And Colin, who used to be on my team, right, till he got promoted, Colin said, well, what happens if we just combine these two and create the one in the middle? What does that look like? So we call that the AGF Custom Conservative Mix. And I have a document here for you with all the weightings and codes. Could you kindly take one and pass them around, please? Thank you, sir. With all the weightings and codes of the things that we're talking about tonight so that you have it. I printed 20 copies. Hopefully we have enough for everybody. If we don't, I can arrange to get you more. Wonderful, thank you. But what we did is we took, you'll see from there, 50% of the AGF Global Income, 50% into AGF Global Moderate. They both have a 5% distribution, therefore the entire account has a 5% distribution. And so, you know, I'm a competitive guy. I wanted to see what it was going to look like if you put it against the comparable Mackenzie solution after fees. We're the dark line.
That's pretty good.
It's a myth that you can't use this for income. I'll own the myth. We've got the returns. And look, sometimes it's a game of inches. You'll see one that I show you is very close. Sometimes it's a game of inches, but I go back to that client meeting I told you about with an RVP. The client didn't have a very long track record of their existing dealer. And we had beat that existing dealer by, I think it was 3% over a year and a half. You might say, well, 3%. 3% over a year and a half. What could it be over 10? What could it be over 15? What could it be over 20? So, yeah, we're talking 3 years here. But if you put $100,000 in after 3 years, you're 11 grand ahead. That's an 11% difference on the original investment amount. And again, these are entirely after fees. Everything I'm showing you is after fees. And so what's interesting to me, hopefully it's interesting to you, but what's interesting to me is what I've shown you so far is existing stuff that you've had for 3 years. Right? Global defensive already exists. Global income already exists. This is a combination of two managed solutions that already exist. I remember once a few years ago, somebody called me and asked if I could help them rebalance a client that was on a PAC. I said, sure. I open it up. The person's got 4 concert funds. Each of those was its own fund of funds. It was a crazy amount of over-diversification. And so it was crucially important to me as we put this idea together that it not have too many funds. So there is not a crazy amount of overlap between these two portfolios. It's a number of funds that I'm comfortable with. Currently sits about a dozen. So the combination works very, very well. Could we go to the next one, please? Yeah. Thank you, sir. So this is...
Is that the one you want?
Yes, it is. So this is our custom conservative against a different... So Mackenzie's got Mackenzie has 3 managed solutions that pay out a monthly distribution. The weightings of equity in those managed solutions are 35%, 55%, and 85%. And so the last one I showed you was us versus Mackenzie's 35% solution. This is us versus Mackenzie's 55% solution. You know, there's times ultimately where we all do pretty much the same job. But just like when you're a manager and there's 1,400 funds in a category, if you can buy a stock $1 cheaper than somebody else, it could be the difference between beating somebody in your category and not, right? It's not a huge variance. It's 3% over 3 years. But if we kept it up, again, what is it over 10? What is it over 15? What is it over 20? And my goal, is not to get you to abandon any income-oriented approach you might be using at Mackenzie. They're competitors, they're not enemies. That's not my goal. My goal is to show you that you have credible income solutions at AGF that you can use each and every day for people. Troy, may I have the next one, please?
There's a question from the online,
Yes.
from Val. Do those custom portfolios operate the same as managed portfolios for open accounts?
I'm going to need clarification on the
Okay.
question.
Val, can you clarify, because your question, and we'll just get back to it.
Sure, if you don't mind, I'll yell.
Sure.
I'm just curious from a decent point of view. I know there's benefits to using managed accounts portfolios, so I'm just trying to figure out what would be the difference for this for the custom blend.
Sorry, Val, we
Tell her to type it.
yeah. Your audio is not good. Can you type it, please? There's something wrong with your audio. I apologize. We'll get back to it.
Okay.
Just screwed up my thing.
By the way, anytime that you put anything together at AGF, so you put standalone funds together, you put two managed solutions together, you put a standalone and a managed solution together, what we call the PGS, the Paul Galecki special, right? 80% global growth, 20% US sector, the man invented it. Anytime you do that, we have a rebalancing feature, auto rebalancing feature available at zero cost to your client. No disrespect, again, to Mackenzie, they do not have auto rebalancing. If you choose auto rebalancing, it is optional, it is at no cost. You can choose the frequency, quarterly, semi-annually, or annually, and you can also choose what we call the variance. How much does it have to get out of whack before we rebalance for you? You can do that in any increment of 0.5% from 2.5 to 10. So 2.5 all the way up to 10 in 0.5s, whatever you want, we will do that for you, again, at zero cost to your client. So even if you are putting ideas together, you will never be caught offside with your KYC, ever, okay?
I have clarification from Val.
Yeah.
Would the tax implication on open accounts be the same on this custom portfolio versus managed solution?
Yes, because everything is taxable in an open account. Any changes are taxable in an open account, absolutely.
But it wouldn't be different with just one managed fund. You have two managed funds. So
Well, but the activity of the portfolio managers inside the managed solution is going to be taxable to you in ways it's not in a registered account. And the actions of the investment oversight committee adjusting the weightings between the funds within the managed solution itself can also create taxation in open
I
accounts.
think maybe what, now I'm just gonna talk maybe what you're thinking is that distribution paid out, how is it paid out? Return of capital, dividends, or interest? Because how that's paid out shows in the distribution is how it's taxed.
Yes,
So is it a little bit more tax efficient than interest income?
okay,
Is that what you're saying, Val? Just
so,
nod.
so all of the above.
Don't go on video, don't go on audio.
A distribution from a fund, it does not matter whether it's being paid into a registered account or a non-registered account. Just like we can't have two different websites, one for RSPs and one for open, and how we calculate and what data we present. The distribution is formed of the same four components. All that differs is what the implications are for you as the investor. So those four components are capital gains, dividends, interest, and return of capital. The distribution can only be a combination of those four things. We will not know until the end of the year, ever, what percentages made up each of those four things. And we will provide you with complete and accurate reporting that was and accurate, not inaccurate, complete and accurate reporting at the end of the year. The only additional tax implication that you could have from putting those two managed solutions together, or any solutions together, is the tax implications of rebalancing between those. But bear in mind that there is rebalancing that happens on at least a quarterly basis within the managed solutions themselves. Okay? How are we doing for time, Troy?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, fantastic. Okay.
Second page?
Uh,
We covered this one already.
yeah, we can go to the second page on this one, please. Okay? I rest my case. And again, this is an existing solution with a 5% distribution. An existing solution that you're already familiar with. This is the second biggest managed solution in PD between the two companies. Okay? People are using this. They're enjoying the 5% distribution. It's a good fund. But if we go on to the next one, the next two, so we'll go one at a time, of course, but the next two are new. I do not say this to blow smoke at you. The timing of this training is absolutely impeccable because of the new solution that we launched yesterday. But literally, my team and I, Nikki and Will, have spent hours on this. These were created for you. Sure, they will be used throughout the field. This was the training. These were the base shops that these were created for. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to give you something, excuse me, comparable to Mackenzie's 85-15 monthly income growth. We wanted to give you options because prior to yesterday, if you were above moderate and you wanted a monthly distribution on your whole account, they were the only game in town. It's a good fund, they're good managers. It's not the only game in town anymore. And so what we did is we took a good long look at, all right, what can we put together to give you options without making you pick 5, 6, 7 different things. So if we look at the rates of return here, okay, again, you'll see that they're pretty close. And my role tonight is not to come in and bash them. Why am I going to undermine the credibility of the second company that your company carefully picked to be your partners on PD? This is not about Mackenzie does a bad job, AGF does great. This is a game of inches. This is not a huge performance differential. It is a $4,000 4% performance differential over those 3 years. But what it is, through using these solutions, which you will see broken down on the sheet, is it is a significantly higher distribution rate than you currently have with the Mackenzie option. And so if we can provide that downside protection and provide a higher level of income, I'm just trying to get the exact figure for you here, if my phone would actually work. Technology is not my friend tonight. Holy cow.
Hi everyone, Nikki here.
Hi, Nikki.
I don't think Zach can hear me.
I can, thank you. I'm
Just so you
delighted.
know,
you're-
Zach, when she does the video, it throws it out of the speaker there, so it doesn't work the same.
Okay,
Okay.
I've
Let me know
got.
if you need me to look anything up.
No, I've got the numbers. Thank you. I just had to find where they were. So,
Turns the video off and
Ah,
shuts everything
okay.
down.
all right. Thanks, Nick.
Changes the inputs.
Okay, so the target distribution on this combination is 6.2%. Okay, that's 24% higher than the 5 that you're used to at this KYC level.
Wow.
Okay? With all the downside protection that comes from all of the option writing that we do as the largest non-bank option writer in Canada. I know I'm gonna sound like an infomercial when I say, but wait, there's more. We wanted to give you something that you don't have right now. Okay? We want to give you something that you don't have right now. And that is a 100% equity portfolio that is focused on paying high income. So 100% equity portfolio that's focused on paying a higher distribution. And so you currently do not have a 100% equity option that pays a distribution. See, if you wanted to do that before at AGF, you'd have to do something like buy the monthly Canadian dividend income. I love that fund. It's a wonderful fund with wonderful managers. I will lie down in front of your car before I let you put 100% of your clients' money into a Canadian equity fund. That's not what it's for, right? It's the salt. It's not the steak. The US is the steak. And so what we did is we built a 100% equity option, again, not designed to replace the 100% equity stuff we're already doing. But more and more I'm getting calls from reps saying, my client just called me, or my prospect just called me. They want dividend paying stuff. They want the income. They want to be paid to be patient. Well, we've got an opportunity for you to be paid to be patient. If we could kindly go to the next one, please, Troy.
Second page.
Yes, please. Thank you. And so this isn't comparing to anything, because frankly, there's nothing to compare it to. This did not exist before we created it for you. But this is a combination, right, of 4 solutions. It's our new one. So you've got the U.S. Equity Enhanced Income, Global Strategic Equity, Monthly Canadian Dividend, and Global Dividend Strategic Equity. And so you've got income and dividends in 3 of those fund names. People notice these things. If you got a client looking for this stuff, this is something that you can take a look at. So this client is going to be receiving a targeted distribution of 5.3% by using these solutions together. So higher than anything that's been available so far in the 100% equity category. With, by the way, net returns over the past 3 years of north of 17% after fees.
Very nice.
So, look, my goal tonight was not to come in here and say, hey, from an income perspective, stop what you're doing. No. But I do think I came in with stuff that competes on the income side. And look, there's a lot of pleasantly surprised faces, and it's very gratifying for me. But I have to fall on the sword, and I gotta acknowledge that the reason you're pleasantly surprised is because I haven't done a good enough job of making sure you know this stuff exists. But 48 hours ago, I couldn't talk about it, and I didn't have something that competed with monthly income growth. And 48 hours ago, you didn't have a 100% equity option. But I'm not coming here asking you to put, for example, 40% of your client's portfolio into something unproven. It's not a new idea. It's the PD version of an existing legacy fund. And it reminds me of 2015, even before Nikki was on my team. November of 2015, when we put the portfolios together. It's been 10 years now. Anthony was on my team then. We put these portfolios together, and I had a decision to make. The decision was, do I give you the longest track record possible, or do I put U.S. sector in there, which I so firmly believe in? Do I put that in there even though at that point it only had a 2-year track record? And I made the decision to put it in there even though it only had a 2-year track record, because I firmly believed that it could be a benefit to your client. I could have come in with significantly longer track records on a lot of stuff. But I believe so strongly in the new offering and how it works and how it fits in and how it meets a niche that we couldn't meet before, that, you know what, I'll put a couple of years of track record up rather than 10, if I think that it's the right solution. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, it's gonna make dollars. What questions do we have online or in person that I can address for you?
You've answered all the ones online.
Okay, how about in person? Going once,
I think it was great.
going twice.
Amazing.
Amazing, because I think that was one of the areas that least caused confusion for me. That, you know, with AGF, with the monthly income, because I have a lot of retired clients looking for a distribution, and, you know what I mean, for different levels, so this gives me a great option.
If I could have put your face on a t-shirt, I would have. It was very gratifying to me to see that. Thank you very much.
Do you know what PFSL risk category this falls in?
Medium is a medium risk fund. Remember, the new one is an equity fund. This is not a bond fund for little old ladies. This is an equity fund.
One other question.
Yes, sir.
In some of the funds, it says advance NA, front end advance NA.
Right, remember that one fund, the new
Front
one,
end.
you can't advance it. It's front end only, okay?
One thing I teach people too about advancing is that when you're choosing to advance, if you're not doing 80%, 50-50, something like that, choose the fixed income to advance, not the growth portfolio. Because you lock in the gains with the advance. So if you leave that on front end, the growth, you're gonna get the trails on. When you just do the fixed end, it grows slower, well, they're locked in for 5 years, so
Yeah.
at least you're not killing yourself that way on your business.
Let me end with a word of thanks, okay? I've been on the road all day. I'm tired. This is my third city today. And honestly, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the fatigue. When you're up here and you're talking and you're presenting to people, you feed off the energy you get. You feed off the participation. You feed off the enthusiasm. You feed off the engagement. It has been wonderful to spend time with you tonight. I don't know about you. I'm going to bed. But don't hesitate to call us about this stuff. What we're asking you for. Here's what we're asking you for. Please, give us the opportunity to compete. I'm not saying give us your next trade. I'm asking you to call us. Because we'll be more than happy to compete, more than happy to provide resources for you, put some stuff together, and help you go to the kitchen table with credibility and confidence.
Everybody know to stay for 2 more minutes, please.
And if you are on Zoom and in person, please stay for 2 more minutes. Thank you very, very much, everybody. I appreciate you. Have a great night. Thank you.
That's why everybody Zoom in and here, just so you know, we have a full house. Congratulations to everybody who came in person. There is a different vibe in person. Okay, again, not giving a hard time to somebody like Hilda in Newfoundland. I know that it's a big commitment. We love that, but not that much.
Well, big decisions happen at big events,
There
right?
you go, there you go.
Right.
But hey, congratulations. We're probably going to have almost 40 people on Zoom as well.
Who do you think came from the farthest?
Farthest from here?
Yeah.
I came from Poland.
Anybody come farther than Poland? All right, you win the prize, my friend. Congratulations.
That's not fair. But yeah, thank you.
You're
I'll
welcome.
pass that to the next producer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amazing job. Hey, just a couple of updates. I know we're over time. This coming Saturday, yours truly, I'm doing a part of one of the breakout rooms. We're going to talk about work-life balance. I don't know about you, but
Maybe I should be on that.
I think we all should be on that. And you know, and the reason I picked it up because I gotta get better at this stuff. So definitely want to invite you to our breakout room. Next week, Wednesday, I'm going to launch something new. Actually, Jay and myself, we're meeting on Friday afternoon. You heard about it. Troy, myself, we kind of led this of creating Wall of Wealth recruiting. So we're putting together a presentation. So a week from today, which is still going to be in this office, last one in October, I will present for first time recruiting presentation to Wall of Wealth. Okay, which by the way, I'm going to be doing following Saturday for the Success Alliance for the whole group. We have a lot of great resources, really looking forward to. And on that topic, please put this in your calendar. On the 12th of November, so that's back in Waterloo, we will use that presentation for the new associates and prospects you're going to bring to business overview. So November 12th, we're going to do Wall of Wealth recruiting presentation for new guests. Now, you want to be there. You want to make sure you part-time and super part-time people going to be there to rejuvenate about the business. You want to bring your partner. You want to bring your adult kids. You want to bring, obviously, prospect. You want to bring some of the clients who might be looking into it. So this is, again, November 12th. We're going to have a packed, full house, full energy. We haven't done this for a long time. You know, sharply dressed. We're going to send you a bunch of updates on this. But you will have a chance next Wednesday to see what's coming. And then I'll present this one more time on Saturday for the Success Alliance before you bring your guests on the 12th of November. And for Troy's and our base shop, again, Christmas party on the 13th. We started sending already invitation and confirmations. Thank you very much, Zach. Unbelievable.
And
What a great event. Thank you very much.
Well, I was thanking Nikki as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Guess busy day, you're going home straight to bed too.